Have you ever watched a man slowly fade away while smiling? You've seen him. He's the guy carrying all the grocery bags, fixing the Wi-Fi, nodding through arguments he doesn't agree with, staring at the woman across the dinner table who used to scream his name in passion, but now barely says it at all. He doesn't even realize he's disappearing. He thinks he's being mature, patient, the man she said she wanted. But in truth, he's vanishing, one apology at a time, one "it's okay" at a time, one fake smile after another. And here's the harsh part. No one forced him. He signed up for this. Let me ask you something that most men never say out loud because we're taught not to. Why do women often seem to reject what they say they want? They ask for sensitivity and then fall for the guy who treats them like a meeting on his calendar. They talk about equality but chase men who lead. They say, "I want a nice guy," and then ghost him the minute he listens too well. Schopenhauer called this a biological paradox. I call it something else, a crucifixion. Because men today are getting nailed to expectations that were never rooted in reality. Now here's the gut punch. She's not lying. She's not playing games. She's not even trying to be manipulative. She just doesn't know. What she says she wants is shaped by culture, by TikToks, trends, friends, and feel-good slogans. But what she responds to, that comes from something deeper, something ancient, something primal. Nature doesn't care about your effort. Nature doesn't care how many good morning texts you sent. Nature doesn't reward the man who gave up his dream to support hers. Nature is wired to select what survives, not what submits. You think you can outlove that? You think that being loyal, thoughtful, and emotionally transparent is going to override 3 million years of instinct? Let me tell you something. This will either set you free or absolutely wreck you, depending on how deep your illusions run. She doesn't crave your love. She craves your gravity. She wants to feel pulled into something she can't fully control but can't live without. And if you're always available, predictable, emotionally pliable, she won't hate you. She'll just dry up. Schopenhauer didn't dress this up with romance. He said it plainly. With women, love is not about personal feeling. It's about the will of nature. That's it. Nature doesn't reject you with violence. It just gets bored. She stops laughing at your jokes. She stops touching your arm. She stops lighting up when you walk into the room. And because you're a good man, you blame yourself. So you try harder. You get even more romantic, more agreeable, more emotionally open. But you're not saving anything. You're walking straight into your own emotional slaughter in the name of love. You become everything she said she wanted, and in doing so, stop being the man her instincts need to respect. Let that sink in. What she says she wants is PR. It's the social script. What she wants is wordless. It doesn't negotiate. It doesn't read poetry. It doesn't care that you stayed up all night to comfort her during a rough patch. It doesn't care that you cried in front of her or told her how deeply you love her. It smells power. It feels presence. It responds to energy that can't be faked.
So you think you're the good man in her life? If you've ever been dumped after giving her everything, here's the brutal truth. You gave too much. And in doing so, you became nothing. You stopped being the mountain and became the mud. That's what Schopenhauer meant when he said that women are the instruments of the species, not there to understand man, but to filter him. You're not being rejected because you're unworthy. You're being rejected because you became useless to her biological instinct. Remember that look she gave you when you first got together? The one that made you feel like a god? Her eyes glowing with awe, like gravity itself had a name, and it was yours. That was real. It was sacred. And for a moment, you felt seen. Not for your job title, not for your bank account, but for the man you were. But do you remember when that look faded? You didn't screw up. In fact, you were probably even more loving, more attentive, more present than before. But that spark, it disappeared. And neither of you could admit it. You tried harder. She grew colder. Because the man she once worshipped was the man who didn't need her. Not in a cold, dismissive way, but in a full, sovereign, whole way. He had edges. He had a mission. He had boundaries. He didn't bend to be loved. He stood in his purpose, and that's what pulled her in. Schopenhauer wrote, "A man can only be himself when he's alone. If he doesn't love solitude, he won't love freedom." And that's scary, isn't it? Because so many men today aren't free. Their emotions are tied to the ups and downs of a woman who may care for them, but doesn't respect them. And when the respect goes, your kingdom turns into a daycare. You go from king to caretaker, and you don't even realize it's happening. She says, "You've changed." But in truth, you softened. And nature doesn't reward softness without strength. So let me say this directly, right to your bones. You cannot negotiate attraction. You cannot earn desire through loyalty. You cannot beg your way back onto the throne you used to sit on so effortlessly. This game, it's not broken. It's just that no one taught you the rules. You were taught to take her words literally. You were told that when she says, "I want a man who communicates," she means talk more. But what she actually means is command the room without saying a word. When she says, "I want vulnerability," she doesn't mean crying every night. She means a man who has mastered his chaos and shares it selectively, like fire in winter, not a wildfire in July. She's not deceiving you. She just doesn't speak your language, and you were never taught to speak hers. So, what does all this mean for you? Should you just shut down emotionally? Start treating women like conquests? Go full alpha mode and never show weakness? No, that's not the answer. That's just the rebound. A wounded man who turns cold isn't strong. He's scared. And a man who needs control isn't powerful. He's insecure. See, real masculinity, it doesn't scream. It doesn't need approval. It doesn't rush to be understood. It stands, quietly, calmly, unapologetically. You ever seen a lion pace? He's not explaining his roar to anyone. He's not asking, "Do you still love me?" He knows who he is. That's the energy women feel before they understand it. That's the gravity that pulls them in without a single text message.
Now, let's go deeper. There are two men inside you right now. One wants peace, comfort, love, security. The other? He wants conquest, creation, mission, legacy. And here's the thing. If you feed the first man too much, if you get too comfortable, too nice, too available, the second man starves. And when he dies, so does her attraction. She starts picking fights for no reason. She gets distant, then angry, then sad, and you have no clue what's going on. You're thinking, "I'm doing everything right." Exactly. That's the problem. Because everything you're doing is for her. But women don't fall in love with men who orbit them. They fall in love with men who orbit something bigger. Call it purpose. Call it God. Call it your craft, your calling, your unshakable path. Whatever it is, it cannot be her. She wants to walk beside you, not ahead of you, and definitely not in your place. When a man forgets this, he becomes emotionally homeless. He starts seeking permission to exist. And nothing dries up attraction faster than a man who needs emotional charity. Schopenhauer said, "Compassion is the basis of morality." But he never said it should replace your spine. A woman might feel sorry for you. She might even care about you. But she will not respect you if you've abandoned your edge just to keep her close. Because here's the paradox she'll never say out loud. She wants to feel your love, yes, but only after she feels your power. Not control, not manipulation, but power, inner solidity. That calm fire behind your eyes that says, "I'm here because I choose to be, not because I'm afraid to lose you." Do you know how rare that is? Most men don't realize it, but the second they feel her slipping, they get desperate. They start love bombing. They start texting paragraph after paragraph, pouring their hearts out. They start trying to prove their worth with gifts, grand gestures, and endless emotional check-ins. And she feels it. Not the love, but the neediness. And neediness, no matter how romantic, smells like fear. And fear is the opposite of desire. It's not your love that's the problem. It's your posture, your kneeling, when you should be rising. She doesn't need another servant. She's craving a king, not a tyrant, but a man who's ruled his own demons. A man who doesn't need her to feel whole, but who chooses her with a full heart and clear eyes. That's the difference. Let me tell you something that changed everything for me, and maybe it will for you too. She's not the reward. Your alignment is. And when you're aligned, when you're focused, disciplined, creating, building, growing, you walk differently. You speak with fewer words. You enter a room with gravity instead of noise. And that is what women feel before they even know your name. You don't have to fake anything. You just have to remember who you are. The man you were before the heartbreak, before the overthinking, before you thought you had to earn love by shrinking. And that man, he's not gone. He's just buried, under compromise, under politeness, under fear. But he's waiting. And the moment you choose to stop auditioning for love and start embodying your worth, everything changes. You'll notice something strange. Women won't test you as much. You won't feel the urge to prove anything. And even when she pulls away, you'll stay grounded. Because you'll know you were never here to chase approval. You were here to lead yourself. And that's what draws the right kind of love to you. The kind that doesn't ask you to shrink. The kind that sees you truly. Because you finally see yourself. So here's the truth that most men never hear. A woman can fall in love with your heart, but she stays in love with your direction. Not your paycheck, not your status, not even your body. Your direction. Where are you going? What are you building? What wakes you up before the alarm? If your answer is her, she will feel that and slowly pull away. Not
Because she doesn't care, but because a woman can't feel safe with a man who's floating. She needs to feel that when life gets chaotic, you don't. That when emotions flare, you remain centered. That when she doubts herself, you don't crumble with her. This doesn't mean being cold.
It means being anchored. When you're anchored, you don't chase every mood swing. You don't argue just to win. You don't panic when she gets quiet. You observe. You lead with presence. You let her feel your stability, not your stress. And if she leaves, you don't beg. You bless her path. Because kings don't cling. They attract what's aligned and release what isn't, with peace. You see, the real flex isn't getting her back. It's getting you back. It's remembering that your value never lived in her attention. It lived in your devotion to your own evolution. Women don't crave a perfect man. They crave a man who's becoming. A man who's honest about his flaws, but refuses to stay there. Because when a man is committed to his path, he becomes magnetic. Not to every woman, but to the right one. The one who respects herself enough to respect you. And in the end, that's what you really want. Not someone who pities you. Not someone who loves you because you gave up your edge for them. But someone who sees you and still chooses you. Because you never stopped choosing yourself. If this hits something deep, good. Now the question is, what are you going to do with it? Because understanding is useless without action. So start small. Recommit to your mission. Build your body like a temple. Create with urgency. Speak less, move with intention. Stop apologizing for your masculine edge. The world doesn't need another nice guy waiting to be picked. It needs more men who remember who they are. So let this heartbreak, this loss, this confusion, let it ignite you, not into bitterness, but into becoming a man you respect again. And when you do, the right woman won't have to be chased. She'll feel you, and she'll know you were never here to beg for love. You were here to embody it.